Good morning, fair sirs. We are joined with everybody's here,
Yeah, on time too. Look at that. I mean, kinda.
and we're joined by Jaime. Jaime, I'm just going to dive into it. It feels like you have a lot on your mind. You wanna say some stuff to us. So let us. How do you feel?
I'm doing good, man. Chris said we had a stressful week, but I'm here.
You too?
Yeah.
Tell us about your stressful week. What'd you do this week? Or what happened to you this week, rather?
Well, it's not Jiu-Jitsu related, but like no one knows, I've been trying to switch my career to becoming a developer, a software engineer, and this week has just been fighting back and forth trying to get this promotion. And the good news is that I got my offer on Friday.
Congratulations.
Thank you. I got my verbal, so I'm just waiting for HR to just waiting for HR for their actual letter, so I can go ahead and sign and be part of the club that you belong to.
So we've talked about this. This is web development, correct?
Yeah, I'm actually gonna be coding with Angular and Vue.
Okay.
So you're a developer, so you know what I'm talking about. But and the past episodes, when you talked about it, it made a lot of sense, like how you can relate it to Jiu-Jitsu. I've been trying to tell the people that I work with, I'm like, dude, it's like, I know you don't know Jiu-Jitsu, but if-else statements make a lot of sense when you're grappling.
Oh, absolutely. It's called funneling into situations.
Yeah.
If these conditions are true, do this.
Yeah.
If these other conditions are true, do that.
Yep. Besides that, try to make it here twice a week, 3 times a week if possible. Chris being a father.
Yeah, that's you made it 3 recently?
I made it 3 times.
Congratulations.
With a sick daughter and a crazy week. So, but I'll be here.
So you guys both have the experience of starting out as martial art practitioners, training jiu-jitsu, training Muay Thai, training MMA even.
Yep.
And somewhere along the way, getting married and now having a kid. How has that transition been from? And you guys weren't necessarily bachelors because you guys had been dating your significant other for a while at that, I'm sure, while you were training. I don't know, like, did you guys meet? So I guess my thing is, were you guys always dating Stacy and Daisy prior to training, or did you meet them while you were training? And then what was the transition like to being a dad and how that affected your training?
You're the guest, man. Answer.
Oh, okay. I'm just asking. I'm like, I saw your face looking like you're about to answer, so I just make sure.
I'm trying to put 15 years of.
Oh yeah.
Well, actually, more than that.
I actually moved from New Jersey back in 2011, and I lived here for like 6 months. I didn't do anything because I was so focused on work. I used to work for this phone company called Vanish.
Boo! Yeah. Focus on work. That.
If we backtrack a year, I started training in New Jersey back in 2009 at Target Showman's karate back then.
Oh, really? So he was a karate really?
Well, so before I started training, I used to be this skinny, short kid, 70 pounds soaking wet. So I started lifting back when I was 21, and I did that for like 2 years. And one of my friends invited me to my first UFC 111 at that time.
What was the main event?
GSP and I keep forgetting this British guy.
We talked about the other day. Dan Hardy.
Oh, Dan Hardy.
Dan Hardy, yeah. So I went to see that. And
you remember this?
Yeah.
You remember the number? That's pretty good.
Yes, 111. Actually, we have a poster here in the academy of that somewhere.
Can you go sign it later?
And funny thing, that was the same day Ben Sanderford and Paul was there, but of course I had no idea who that was at that time. But so I remember going to UFC, and I was like, man, this thing looks pretty cool, man. All I do is lift weights and go home. I don't do anything for my cardio because I hate running, I hate treadmills, and I hate ellipticals and all that crap.
But you were doing karate though, right?
No, I wasn't doing anything yet. So,
all right.
So I went home after the UFC, straight to the computer, started looking up for something about like UFC stuff like that. So Tiger Showman showed up. At that time, it was called Tiger Showman's Karate. So I went to class. I remember I signed up for the trial, and I did kickboxing the first day.
Sorry to interrupt. Is his name actually Tiger?
No, his name is Sean Showman. Okay. I don't know what they call
Tiger.
Tiger
Does sound a lot cooler.
Yeah. So I don't know what they call Tiger Showmans, but tell you one thing, man, they're making a lot of money up there.
Oh, I bet.
And so I remember my first class, they were teaching me how to just kick. It was just a kickboxing class. And the way they work is very karate like. So the belt system is not like here. Like, we got 5 belts. They got like literally like 18 belts to make it to black. So you start with like your low white to mid white.
Hang on, low white?
Yeah.
Define.
Low white.
What's a low white color?
Yeah, like
like before white,
like super white. I mean, like
So-
OxyCleaned white.
How more white can you get? Like, isn't white like?
you had a
White is white is all colors, right?
you had a
Correct.
Right. So
you had a gray stripe in the middle of the white. So then you got a plain white, and then you get a white with a black stripe in the middle of it.
This is good. Paul,
you
Paul,
don't-
are you listening?
So-
Wait a minute. Just to understand here, because I'm used to the Jiu-Jitsu kids belts where you always get a solid color belt first, and then they start adding.
No. Is it? I think
kids
you get
start
a white stripe in it first, right?
No, kids. All the kids that I've seen
They
that
start
start
with
with
white.
Paul just get
Start plain
pure
white.
white belt, and
Yeah.
then they get, I think, like a gray with a stripe. But they start.
Gray with the white running horizontally.
I believe so. Yeah, it's all horizontal. When we talk about stripes, we're not talking about tape. We're talking about the
So should
One
we can't call it stripes then. We have to call it
a line.
or
longitudinal-
a raise. I don't know. With a line in it.
Yeah.
But so you didn't get a white belt.
Yeah.
You had to get a funky white belt with a gray line
in
in
the
it.
middle. Yeah.
Okay.
So
Wait, so how long did it take you to get? How long did it take you to get the white belt?
So like
the low white belt to intermediate white belt.
So like literally training there for about 2 months, they actually rebranded to Tiger Showman's MMA. I think because it just became such as UFC took over, and I think karate just was not selling.
So when
for
you
them.
say MMA, I see a lot of quote MMA schools around here that are traditional martial arts school that rebranded. Did they legitimately become an MMA, or did they say, "Oh, it's a mixed martial arts because we do Hapkido and Taekwondo and some other bullshit"?
no, they they introduced grappling.
Okay, like
Yeah,
legitimate grappling, like by a qualified
yes.
instructor.
Yes.
Okay,
So
cool.
they did not have.
Awesome.
So the Tiger Showman's black belts, they went to seminars for grappling for years because they were thinking of rebranding. So so they rebranded. They started teaching grappling, very basic stuff though. So, but they didn't teach jiu-jitsu in the gi, I should say. So it was just regular grappling. But Tiger Showman was very big about your uniform. So here you show up with a t-shirt and shorts, and you're good to go. Over there, you had to show with your pants. Your pants had to be a low-rank pants. You couldn't wear black pants. You were not allowed to wear black pants. Like the brand of the pants, for that matter.
Did you have to buy?
Yes.
Like their branded pants
the
too.
tiger pants.
So, you guys are gonna laugh at this, but it cost about $700
What?
to start at Tiger Showman's.
like the initial sign up
Yes,
fee.
sign up and all your gear.
It's like
Okay,
going to
all right.
it's like
Yeah.
going to college.
Yeah.
Like you gotta
Limited
get
entry.
You're not allowed to wear any other degree, but their equipment.
Of course.
you can.
I mean, that's-
So
yes.
they make this equipment called Tiger Gear. Tiger.
He's good. He's good.
Yeah.
He's really good.
So you had to back this. You buy that starter package, so they get your
looking this guy
bag.
up
But
now.
so that's a good thing though, right? Like if you can build that into the cost of a sign up, then there's no excuse for a student to show up without uniform, without gear, without this, without that. That's good.
But
right?
$700 is a huge barrier of entry as a sign up fee.
But that probably includes 3 months of training.
No, I didn't. It was just. You're gonna laugh. You know how much I paid every month? I paid $250 a month.
Well, I mean, it's a different
It's
economy,
New Jersey. I don't know if it's
yeah,
the difference,
yeah.
but it's
So,
up north.
how
yeah.
much did it cost when they became an MMA gym and you now got grappling classes?
$300.
Extra. So it's $50 extra dollars.
You want $50?
Upsell, baby.
Yes.
Hey, that upgrade.
So,
So you were not grandfathered in, and you were obligated to go up.
you had to go up.
Wow.
So I was paying the $300 a month. I had my equipment. You cannot wear anything that was not Tiger Showman branded. Rash guards, pants, everything had to be that brand. And
It does look good for photos.
yes, and lining up. I remember it was very a Mike Dojo type of thing. You had to stand there. You can't say anything. Stay quiet. Every time the sensei spoke something, you had to reply.
Traditional thing.
Yeah, you had to reply like "Ooh, sensei," right afterwards. You had the instructor, the person that helped the sensei was the Yoshu, which is another black belt.
It's
little
actually
lower.
a type of soy sauce, isn't it?
I don't know.
So what's funny is I've noticed that you're one of the people that uses oaths
I do.
more than average on the mats, especially like getting, when we're getting ready to do a technique, it's like, oh, and it's like we're
yeah, it kind of got ingrained in me. Yeah, it got ingrained in me because, and then like I said, it's 3 levels of black belts, I would guess, for target showmen.
3 levels of black belts?
Yeah, because you become a senpai, then you become a yoshu, then you become a sensei.
Okay, senpai. I think Danaher uses the term senpai. Is it like that's like a junior instructor?
It's like a first time black belt. Okay. That's before you get your But the only thing I didn't like is that those belts did not translate to anything. So if you became a black belt in the target showman curriculum and you started training jiu-jitsu, you had to wear a white belt. And
that's good.
Yeah, and a lot of these guys had a problem doing that.
Oh, I bet.
There's UFC fighters that are from target showmen, like Jaime Cardenas. He's actually my first instructor ever.
And Uriah Hall, right?
Uriah Hall was of target showman. Funny thing, Uriah Hall did not want to wear a white belt at first. He thought he would prefer something higher when he started training jiu-jitsu. Just because he was a black belt.
That's really like Khabib's like a white belt, right? Yeah. And he willingly wears it.
Yeah. At first he had problems with doing it, but I think he eventually did it. I guess that was the biggest downside because you couldn't really. When I started with Paul, okay, my bad. When I started with Paul, I actually I had no problem wearing a white belt again. He did ask me, "Have you trained before?" And I was like, "Yeah, I did some jiu-jitsu." So coming back to the story, I ended up leaving Florida. New Jersey. Moved to Florida. For the first 6 months, like I was so focused on work, and I lived by myself because I actually moved down here with my ex-girlfriend, but she kind of took off after the first month. So I kind of stayed by myself, and then
we need to go deeper in there.
Yeah.
Or should we just save that for another day?
And then I just pretty much I stayed by myself. So after 6 months, I was like, man, this lonely shit sucks. So I started looking for a target showman school because I didn't know much here. So I started looking for.
I mean, you didn't know better, right?
Like, I didn't know any better. All I knew was target showman. So I found one in Tampa, and I'm like, I'm not gonna try to Tampa every day. So I looked up schools around.
You never said how high you made it.
Oh, I'm sorry. I made it to high yellow.
High yellow.
High yellow.
And how many belts was?
How many belts?
That was 3, 6, 9 belts.
Holy! Hang on. So how many testing fees did you actually pay? That's what I'm really asking.
Funny, you don't pay for belts. That was the good thing.
Well, if you're paying fucking
$300
$700
a month,
I hope you don't have to pay for a goddamn belt.
Yeah. So yeah, it was, and there was not a testing. They just randomly in the middle of class tell you, they would just hand you a belt. So it wasn't really like.
Oh, that's cool.
Like if the instructor felt that you're ready, he would just be like in the middle, like the end of the class, they would just hand you a belt.
So next time I go to your place, I want to see that where you've mounted all those.
Oh man, I threw this away. I don't know where they are. Yeah,
you're a bad person. I still have my Taekwondo black belt.
I don't know where they are. Like I left New Jersey and I didn't bring it with me, and then
come on, man, they're a big part of who you are now.
Yeah,
I can't believe you would just. I mean, I make fun of it, but I still appreciate it. Come on, man.
Yeah, I don't know what my dad did with them. I saw one of them like holding something like in the backyard.
So how do you? Okay, how you said you didn't test, but like, what was the curriculum to achieve like a yellow belt or whatever it is you got? It's the same for every age, every rank.
Yes. So you had the situation where kids were with the same rank as you, but they didn't mix the classes though. Like you had to be over 16 to be in the adult class, so you'll never be training with a kid, pretty much.
Okay, all right. So, but they're still learning the same regardless.
The same regardless. Yes. Okay. So it'll be the same curriculum.
Nick Paul is staring at us. Hey, how's that tonal, Nick? How's that tonal? You want to come on and give an infomercial about this big old like cell phone with a Bowflex you mount on the wall?
There's so much buy-in. Like I can't even like
$3,000, bro.
Inkling of buyer's remorse into him. It's like I'm trying my hardest.
I mean, American corporations are so happy because instead of buying a Pendleton, which is already like $2,000, he's like, no. Let's spend $3+ grand on this thing.
When you're financing like workout equipment for your home, like well done, America. #capitalism. Anyways, Jamie, so
I made it 9 belts in.
You made 9 belts in. You got here. You started. How'd you find? So you Googled around and you said.
So yeah, I Googled around and I found American Top Team.
And now, what year was this?
This was 2011.
2011.
Yeah,
okay.
It was literally around September 2011. Actually, it was on September because it was on my birthday. It was a lonely ass birthday. I was looking up schools and I found this one, and I called.
Which location was it at currently?
It was actually the East Orlando. I thought it was this school, so I called the number and Jason Patino picked up. Granted, I didn't know who his people were at that time, and he was like, "Yeah, come in for the training," and so I was like, okay, I'll go for the first class tomorrow. And I ended up coming to the Golden School, thinking that was the school that I called, not the one in East Orlando. So I was like, oh yeah, it's right up the street, because I used to live around Golden. Like, so it literally drove down drove the street.
Okay, so you called up. So there was East Orlando and just regular Orlando.
Yeah.
You scheduled with East Orlando, but
yeah, but I showed up to Golden. Yeah, so
I can imagine the look of just, what the hell is this chucklehead doing when you show up, talking about whatever. Who greeted you?
Some dude named Alex. I don't know. Like, he used to work the front desk. I never got to meet the dude. Like, I saw him that one time, and I never saw him again after that. So,
Alex, if you're at BJJ and Brews on Instagram, shoot us a DM. We
want your story.
He gave me a T-shirt. He gave me one of those rank T-shirts. It was a black with the white logo on it. So I came back the next day, because that day Paul told me the owner wasn't there. Either way,
Paul was actually there. Like, yeah, he's not here today.
So I came back the next day, and
he got Paul early on.
I came back the next day, and I didn't have a schedule, so I kind of just showed up to class. And at that time, I was actually dating a Puerto Rican girl down in Kissimmee.
Hang on, how long was it before you broke up with the girlfriend that moved down here? And now you're dating.
I was broken up for like 4 months now.
Okay, all right.
So I was like a 4 months off break. So I
started. You had your lonely birthday, and then you found a Puerto Rican.
Yeah, I found a Puerto Rican girl, and I was actually.
Why does it matter that she's Puerto Rican? Just out of curiosity.
Because it was my first Puerto Rican girl ever.
Because it's cool to say Puerto Rican. It flows off the tongue. Puerto Rican.
You're supposed to go Puerto.
It's Puerto Rican.
Puerto Riqueña.
So I remember that. So I went to my first class, and it was MMA class. I had no gear. I walked in there with basketball shorts and a T-shirt. And
where's all your Tiger Schulman gear, man?
I was
$700, dude.
I've left all that stuff in New Jersey. I didn't bring none of that. So I get here, and Paul lends me like these MMA gloves and these shin guards, and he asked me if I trained before. So I said, yeah, I did some grappling and some kickboxing. And I showed up. I showed up on MMA. Yeah, I showed up on MMA sparring day. That was my first class, MMA sparring day. And
so who is there?
So I forgot who was there, but I know my first round was Jose Vasquez. You remember Jose Vasquez? Yeah. Okay. He was already an amateur fighter, and he's strong as shit. So I go my first round. He like takes me down, mounts me, and starts like pounding me in the face. My first class.
Did you tap from strikes? Paul hates that.
I was just like getting like destroyed. I remember by the end of the class, I walked out with a black and blue eye. Like I left home with a purple eye. I went to see my girlfriend, and I remember I got to her house, and she was like, "What the fuck happened to you?"
Did you feel alive though?
Dude, it was the best.
That's what. Yeah, see,
it was
felt alive.
Yeah, it
right?
was
That's
such a rush. I was like, man, that's it. I found my calling.
I know this is kind of a random comment, but you don't have any cauliflower ear.
I don't.
How did you like? It's just like
when I trained in Tiger Showman, they didn't let you grapple without those funky earmuffs. You weren't allowed to do any kind of grappling. Yeah, you couldn't. You just couldn't take class. They were very strict about having equipment on. If you have missing something, you just couldn't take class.
Man, so I mean, like, I have to wonder how much of that is just like we want to protect our students, or how much of that is like we don't even want to run the risk of any sort of weird injuries that may happen where people will become disenchanted.
And we get to sell them another piece of equipment that's mandatory.
Yeah, and honestly, not sound cocky, but I usually don't get caught in like chokes like that. Like I don't ever have to like escape guillotines.
The entire gym now.
The entire gym.
Lock and load D chokes. Scrape it across the ear.
Ah, man, guillotines to make him fight his way out.
Yeah,
that's what it is.
So I don't. Yeah,
so you felt alive. You got roughed up, a black eye.
Yeah.
Your Puerto Rican girlfriend what was her reaction?
Man, she was like, "Are you okay? Like, what the happened to you?" I was like,
did she secretly like the fact that you were an MMA fighter?
She didn't give a shit about it, honestly.
She like, go shower.
Yeah, she was like, she didn't really give a fuck about it. Like most people that I train with, I mean, that I've been with, that they never cared that I did martial arts. So I remember actually right before I joined ATT, right next to my ex-girlfriend's house, they had one of those like karate classes, the schools. It was just a regular karate class. So I showed up in there. I was asking him if they teach Jiu-Jitsu, stuff like that. And the guy was like, "Oh, we don't teach Jiu-Jitsu, but I do side classes if you want to train Jiu-Jitsu." I was like, "Nah, man." And they're an actual school that teaches Jiu-Jitsu. So
what was your initial impression of Paul when you met him?
Paul it was hard to read him, man. He's always to himself. Like,
was?
Still is.
Was hard to read?
Till the day. Like sometimes you catch Paul like in a good mood, and sometimes he just like goes right by you. Like, okay. No, but Paul was always a cool dude, man. Like he did a good job of like coming up to me and asking me like, you know, what I've done before, and he actually rolled with me I think the second class. He rolled with me in grappling. So I knew people that they've been here years and never rolled with Paul. He actually rolled with me the very second class. He asked me where I lived, and I was like, I should live right down the street. And I remember he was actually at that time sleeping in the gym. Like he wouldn't. I don't know what was going on with him, but he was staying at the gym, and I was looking for a roommate. So that's how the Paul and me roommate thing happened.
All right, I'm glad we got to this because this is
there's no easy way to ask that.
This is the best part. Well, not the best part, but this is one of the juicy parts. So, how long were you and our head coach Paul Rodriguez roommates?
We'll say for about 9 months.
9
close to
months.
a year.
So,
Does he clean up after himself?
Dude, so
here we go.
I used to work for Vonage, right?
It's at your, remember, you know how good he is on the mat, so it's your call how much you want to share.
Yeah. But I will prod.
So, right, I remember I was working for Vonage, and I had to go to Tampa for a week.
And working for who?
Vonage, you know, the phone company.
The VoIP?
Yeah, which are yeah.
Does that still exist?
No, which is why I'm no longer
Oh,
working.
okay. Fair enough.
Once I saw the money disappearing, I was like, I'm out of here. So, so I remember I went to Tampa for a show, and I had given Paul the keys to the apartment. So I was like, just move in whenever you're ready. And I come back a week after, and my house is spotless, bro. Like clean, like floors are clean, the living room's clean. There's a pineapple in the middle of my table. I was like,
He brought you a pineapple?
yeah, it was like literally
He hasn't even brought me a pineapple.
So I walk in there, and Paul's like in his room, like he already fixed his room, like in his computer, and I was like, man, like I thought it was gonna be like, you know, just shit all over the place, you know. I mean, like he was very clean, man. I was actually very surprised. He broke at that time he had two dogs. He had Rocky and Bailey.
Oh, Rocky.
Both, rest in peace to both of them actually. Bailey passed away first, but so, and I thought like that was my biggest fear. I'm like, man, he has dogs, you know, how clean he's gonna be, but surprisingly really, really clean dude, man. And we stayed there for like 9 months before he moved. We actually broke the lease because I ended up moving in with Daisy, and he moved in with Caroline.
Whoa. So what happened with Puerto Ricana?
Oh,
in 9 months? Come on, man.
I mean, I don't get that part.
No, I'm just kidding.
Well, just things didn't work out, and I started training like 5 days a week. I was literally training 5 days a week, 3 hours a day at that time. So I wasn't really.
That's the truth.
Dude, I was going to class like every single day after work, from 5 o'clock all the way till like 9 o'clock, like every single day. So it wasn't really working out for her. So I was just like, I'm not gonna quit this. I'm actually having a lot of fun.
Some ladies just don't understand Jamie.
Yeah. So.
We're glad Jamie does.
The funny thing,
I'm sorry.
Funny story. Right before Paul moved in with me, though, like I was probably like 2 weeks. I was dating this other Cuban girl.
Oh!
Are you low key a player, James?
And
Daisy, are you listening to this?
Daisy knows about this story. It's the funniest story.
My goodness.
So I remember, like I met this girl online. And I go hang out with her, and she ended up coming to my house the same day.
Wait, you met her online?
Yeah.
And at that point in time, it was
game were you playing?
Yeah, it was not Tinder or anything like that.
Plenty of fish.
Chat room?
What?
There was plenty of fish.
Plenty of fish.
Yeah, it was like a dating site. That's actually how I met Daisy, by the way. That's how we got.
Is it?
Yeah.
Is this like the first time the public's hearing this, or is this like
so,
common knowledge?
I guess so. So
There's no way that exists still. It must be an app.
yeah, no, it's still there, man. Still there, still there and going strong. So I met this.
Up and down. Something.
So-
It's plenty o fish.
Yeah. I'm sorry for my accent, by the way. I know.
But so you
So I'm dating this Cuban girl, and so that night I went out to hang out with her, right? And the next day I had my grappling test with Paul for my orange shirt. And what's going on, bro? So I told her, I was like, man, I don't wanna stay up late too long today because I got a test tomorrow. So I remember we went to like downtown Disney or something.
and then you
So we went to downtown Disney, and so I was like, hey, listen, I gotta go home. I got a MMA test tomorrow, and she ended up coming to my house and spending the night.
Wait,
So-
you had an MMA test or a
Yeah,
grappler?
you did the MMA so grappling test,
Okay.
right? So she stayed in the house. So I remember the next morning I was like, okay, I gotta go testing. I left this girl that I met only one night in my house, right? So I go to MMA training. I go to do the grappling training, and I'm training and I'm taking the test with, at the time it was Tim, some dude that he's my roommate, but he's not longer training. It was Tim. I think it was Matt Cabrera too testing that day. It was like 5 or 6 of us. I finished doing my testing. I got my my orange shirt. Dude, I go back to my house and my house is clean. This girl literally cleaned my entire house. I opened my drawers and she like fixed my clothes, folded my clothes. Like she went through all my stuff.
Wait, do you like?
She went through your stuff?
Like she was like, "Oh, I was cleaning for you." I met this girl one day. Dude, that freaked me the fuck out.
Wait, do you attract like super OCD people or something?
I don't know what it was,
Did she
man.
leave you a pineapple then? I
So-
mean, like, if she didn't,
Dude,
get rid of her.
I remember the
I
next.
feel like a pineapple is like the male thing. What would a female leave? She would leave like some pears.
Dude, she was
something.
wearing
I
my-
don't know.
she-
Wait, hang on. Is this pineapple thing something I'm just completely unaware of? Is that
No.
Is that like etiquette when you clean
No,
a dude's
I have
house?
no
Is you leave? Okay, I'm like, is this some
That was a
white
whole thing
person
probably,
that
I don't
know
know.
Actually, what
about?
I'm thinking of is at these music festivals I've been to the past year with electronic music, people just carry around like pineapples and like they treat them as like little deities and they dance with. They don't eat them. They like dance.
Publicity?
Yeah, exactly.
No.
Exactly. That's exactly what it is.
So
Ecstasy's a hell of a drug, right?
So yeah, I remember I came back the next day to training and I told this to the guys. I told to Tim and he was like, "Dude, that's a 5-level clinger." It's like,
You need to get out of that.
yeah, I need to get out of that. So I killed that right there and there.
You
I
need
was
to
like-
change your locks.
So I killed it right there and there, man. She moved my furniture. She went like she fixed. It was just weird. Like it freaked me out. So I killed it.
later.
Right
Is this gonna end with I later found out that was Paul?
there. No.
No. Okay. All right.
And then after that, I was like, I'm done. I'm just gonna get a roommate. So then Paul moved in, and Paul and Caroline actually, because Caroline was stay at the house a lot. So while we were roommates, I was actually practicing for my blue belt test. I remember Paul was doing the same thing that he does now. He does that little brochure,
The pamphlet.
the
yeah.
pamphlet thing. Yeah,
So official, right? Did
Yeah.
you feel like
so
ready?
I was actually he didn't give it to me at class. He gave it to me at home. We were in lunch and he was just like, "Here, man, this is your blue belt test." So I had the test. I actually went to Walmart with Tim and we actually bought mats. So we built like a whole little gym inside my living
What
room.
kind of mat? Like the
Those
like
puzzle
the
mats.
mat?
Yeah, it's
Okay.
puzzle mats. We just wanted to we really wanted
Are
to
those the
touch
same
this.
puzzle mats that your daughter plays on?
No, not those specifically.
You did sanitize them first, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, they're like another ones. And I remember we used to Matt Cabrera used to come over because he was also testing for the blue belt. So they would come over to the house. Because just bring back a little bit. At that time, Paul was having some issues with Goldenrod. Goldenrod actually closed down, and we were training at East Orlando. Like they had this thing that we were going to join both schools. They were so everybody from Goldenrod.
That shit never works out.
Yeah. So they.
So officially, you guys didn't have a location.
We didn't have a location,
an
yes.
official location.
Yes.
So you were trying to train at
I
very.
was trying to train. Well, we had an official location at East Orlando
Now,
because
he
everybody
just threw up like quotation
Quotation,
marks.
yeah.
For those of you listening, he threw up official with quotation marks.
Yeah, because,
so essentially the Goldenrod location was no more.
we ended up leaving to East Orlando, and we trained there for I would say
How many of you guys?
the whole school.
Really?
The whole school
so
moved over
like
to East
15,
Orlando.
20, 30, 40 people.
Yeah,
whatever it is?
and I don't know if you ever been to the old East Orlando school, but that thing was a locker room.
Yeah,
It's
it was
just-
like
it's
a long
like-
strip, right?
Yeah, it was so small. We were on top of each other. So everybody moved over there. I think for about 8 months before Paul reopened Goldenrod. But during that time, because the drive for me to to East Orlando was about 25-30 minutes, so it was a lot easier for me just to build a gym in my living room. So I would have Tim and Matt come over. We'll practice all techniques.
So you guys were in a house.
Yeah, in my house, in an
Okay.
apartment, yeah. And I remember one time we were practicing, and Paul walks out the room, gives us the Paul stare, and that look that he just gives you,
Like the half
yeah,
smile head
yeah,
shaking
has that,
thing.
shake his head and goes, "What the fuck are you doing?" I'm in the middle of doing an arm bar. He's like, "The fuck are you doing?" And
What a motivator.
Yeah.
What confidence boost. You're like, oh, this is great.
to be fair though, a lot of times he will stop us and take off his shoes and actually teaches the technique in the little mat. So it was very cool.
This is like your like passive aggressive way getting private lessons, isn't it?
Yeah. It worked out,
Just
man.
do it like bad enough. It's like the thing that like wives do when they want their husband to do something and they like half-ass it.
Yeah.
Right, and then they're like, "Oh, just get out of the way. I'll take care of this." Right? Like you guys are doing that to Paul.
Pretty much.
You're like, I ain't paying $100 an hour.
And I remember, and then we actually tested. I tested for my blue belt in East Orlando because, like I said, there was no gold.
You're gonna say you tested at your own house.
I should have at that point.
Like,
That was the one.
we put on some coffee,
No.
and a Diet Coke,
The
and
rice took an hour to cook. so.
I tested at East Orlando, and we didn't do the Shark Tank thing back then. I actually did it. I did my 10 rounds against Paul and Jason, so I literally had to go back and forth between Paul,
my
Jason, Paul. Yeah, there was nobody. Everybody made a circle, and it was just 5 minutes with Paul, 5 minutes with Jason, 5 minutes with Paul, and Jason for 5 rounds.
terrible.
I think it was. Yeah, I got destroyed that day.
do you have any breaks?
No, it was like the 1 minute break in between 5 minute rounds. Yeah,
That's still pretty good.
Yeah,
yeah.
that's terrible. I mean, that's
And
back in the day. Right?
back in the day, and I remember that. And then that was in December 2012.
One quick question: was it common for you to roll with Paul and Jason in class?
No,
Okay, so that's different. Like I would say that.
that's
A lot
new.
of students
That's
get
new.
it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's ever since Paul came with the new rule that he doesn't care about people lower rank calling higher rank, more people have been rolling with Paul, I think, and or just higher rank period. Because
Okay, that makes sense.
none of us would actually go up to Paul and say, "Hey, do you want to roll?" Like nobody would ask him.
I don't want to do that now.
But you feel comfortable now because you know
No,
the,
yeah, I know.
the etiquette
I-
went away.
yeah.
You know what I mean? Before, just because etiquette, you couldn't ask a higher belt, so we wouldn't even dare ask Paul unless he told us roll with me. So, but anyway, so I tested on December 2012, but because I forgot the circumstances, I didn't get my actual blue belt till March. So I was already a blue belt without the belt for 3 months. And then in March,
Had like the certificate.
yeah,
You know how you get these guys? We don't do it here, but when these people get promoted, they get like a little certificate, like this is a certified.
you know,
belt from
Julius does that.
Yeah,
Julius
that's
mostly
just-
does
that's a
that
part
at his
of
school.
his-
Yeah, he gives everybody like a
It's
certificate
his-
for getting a
It's
belt.
his business model, So.
Yeah. The good thing is Paul doesn't do the green belt, which is winning. You don't. He always training people who's gonna be the first green belt under him. So you don't want to be the first green belt under Paul Rodriguez. I don't think he'll ever do it
I'd
anyways.
rather get the 5th stripe.
What?
I'd rather get the 5th stripe,
I'd rather get a
right?
pink stripe,
Like
yep.
than the green belt.
I was actually talking to somebody was here talking to me saying that they had a green belt, and when they did competition they were embarrassed. They were like, dude, I took the thing off and I put a white belt on.
Well, I mean,
'Cause they don't know how to rank you.
Troy,
Troy, there you go. I
Yeah,
don't know if
Troy.
that's
He
right.
was
There you go.
because Longwood does the green belt thing, and he went, and they were like, "What the fuck is this?" So they, like we don't do that here for adults, and so I think it was an IBJJF competition too. I'm not sure, but
East Orlando does it, and I remember when I don't know if Jason wanted me to wear a green belt, but I'm glad Paul said no. Those are my students. They don't wear green belts, so he gave me a blue belt. So
Okay, so this whole green belt thing, I understand that it's a kid's belt and all, but what's the motivation in giving the green belt out to an adult midway from white to blue? Is it just like a motivation thing?
No, I
or
think it's a retention thing more than
yeah,
anything.
I mean,
Yeah.
like, because okay, so you've been in for quite a few years
Yeah.
now. Like, what do you, in your experience and what your observation, what have you seen? Which is the make or break belt? Like, which is the one you really got to stick through?
I think once you make it to purple, you're good to go. I would say 60% of people will like continue after purple belt.
So where are people dropping off though?
Blue belt. I say blue. Actually, no. I think that's why the green belt came around, because they didn't want white belts to drop out. So maybe they created a gap. Instead of giving you 2 stripes, they give you a green belt, and then you go on to your blue belt. But I think most people drop a blue belt, if I'm not mistaken.
I agree.
Yeah, most people they make it past the belt. Especially nowadays, I feel like it took me a year and a half to get to blue belt. I feel like now people are getting to blue belt in like less than a year. I know they're rushing the blue belt now, but I've seen people getting like 8-9 months.
It's getting better now. People are getting more of what
Oh,
they
that could be
need.
the case,
the
yeah.
extraneous stuff.
Yeah, that could be the case. But I
But
remember
no, go ahead.
it took me about a year and 3 months to get to my blue belt. If anything, I think my fastest belt was my blue belt. I was there for like a year and a half before I became a purple.
You were at a really
Yeah, like
from blue to purple was only a year and a
I
half.
tell people like,
That's very unusual.
yeah, I tell people
were you
like,
competing?
No, I wasn't. I competed on white belt more than anything. I did 4 competitions as a white belt. I didn't do any competition as a blue belt. But I felt like, I don't know. I tell people I didn't feel my blue belt. I feel like I skipped that thing. I remember my white belt a lot, like, cause that's when I learned most of the techniques. I did everything. My blue belt, it felt like it just went in and went out. But I would say the most fun I have is in my my purple belt so far. And I think that's why, because that's when Paul started. That's when Paul was allowing me to teach, actually, when I was a 2-stripe purple. So that's probably that's one of my favorite belts to the day. I'm a brown belt now.
You're currently a brown belt, so
I'm a brown belt now, man. But the other day I was listening to Chris, and I'm just like you, man. I feel like I'm a purple belt right now. I should be a 1-stripe purple belt, not a brown belt. But
it's like the glory days.
Yeah.
I have at least a stripe on my belt. Yeah, the belt's not naked, and I'm a purple, so the lower people are like, oh, this guy's cool. This guy knows some stuff, but I still get to have fun. And
yeah, there's not the pressure. I mean, the pressure is all self-imposed when you're.
It is.
It's like. But yeah, like purple belt to me for some reason just seemed to be the most.
You know what it is, man? I think it's not. Sometimes I feel like, man, am I getting worse at this thing? Like, what the hell's going on? Like, I feel like I'm not progressing, but at the same time, you forget how good people are getting. Like, how the gap closes is insane. Like, from the point, like when you were a white belt, no, right? Like to now, like it's. At first, I would have been like, oh, I can take that kid, but now it's like, what the hell? Like in 2 years. I don't know. Paul's teaching the technique a lot different than back in the day, by the way. So everything is just a lot better.
I mean,
now.
In all frankness, you're probably discounting the fact that when you were a purple belt, you were still probably training 5 to 6 days a week, and were really doing it. Yeah. And now your life's evolved. So I think in a way, just from a cardio perspective, just that you're not training as much, that probably influences things mentally. But also Paul has said that as people improve, and not just me, but this is everybody, improvement is like logarithmic. So it's like you make the biggest gains early on, and then things take longer and longer and longer. So what ends up happening is it's like everyone's going like 80 miles an hour at the beginning, and then they hit this kind of log jam, and now we're going a lot slower. So the gap's closing. You close the gap a lot initially, but then there's more of a trickle at that point. Like you're kind of in slow traffic. You know what I mean?
Right. Because I mean, early on too, there's only so much you learn, right?
Yeah.
Like before you not master it, but just become pretty proficient at it. And then like beyond that, it's the minutia that starts making a major difference in strategy and stuff. So it's like learning all those major fundamentals early on, or that, like you said, it helps close that gap so much quicker. And then everybody sort of like figuring out themselves beyond that's the hard part, right? Like,
yeah.
Like building the foundation is the fun and part we just make these huge just gains. So you are a brown belt with how many stripes now?
I have 2 stripes right now.
2 stripes.
Yeah. I'm always being under Paul, and I've been all over Orlando. Right now I live like 45 minutes away, but man, I love training under Paul, so I think I'll stay loyal to the school, and I want to be a black belt under Paul, hopefully one day. That's the goal. I've been training for 10 years now in this academy. 10 years. Hopefully continue here if nothing changes.
What do you have any fights?
Nope, I do not. All I have is
desire to fight.
Well, if you want to count the fight with Matt Cabrera.
Yeah, there we go. I was going to bring that up. We got to cover that story. So you had a fight with Matt Cabrera.
So
explain.
So the story behind that. We all know how much of an instigator Paul is. Okay? So we didn't plan this. Paul instigated this thing. One day, Paul is, he was like, on the next promotion, I want to have an exhibition fight. And we were like, who's going to fight? They were like, oh, it's going to be Matt and Jaime. I was like, dude, I didn't sign up for this. It's like,
wait, hang on. You're 100, how many pounds?
I'm 135 pounds.
Cabrera's what?
Like 160.
Yeah, okay.
Okay. So 2 months before this fight, Paul would literally make us do like videos calling each other out.
This is awesome.
Like, I remember there's a video out there.
Get your eyes checked by the to get cleared by the Florida art commission.
Dude, it was literally fight club for that thing. I remember there was a video of me deadlifting, right? So I do the deadlift, and he makes me call out Matt Cabrera after the deadlift. And then Matt Cabrera would make another video of like beating up some little kid saying that he's gonna beat me up that way. It was just like a whole month of us calling each other out in videos until the day of promotion when we actually had to do the fight. He won. He won by decision.
Was it 3-2s or 3-3s or what?
I forgot. I know he walked out with a black and blue belt.
But this is in which gym is this? This is here.
It was
right?
here. It was here. It was like we had a cage fight. Like everybody was around this cage. Like Jason Carpelucci was there. Julius was there. Julian was there. They were like cheering
I
this
would
fight.
miss it. I mean,
Hang on, and you guys were sparring?
Yeah,
or
we like I guess we spar, but like
heavy petting.
heavy,
or-
pretty much. Pretty much like
did you guys have cornermen?
with a what?
Did you have anyone in your corners?
We did.
Who was yours? Yeah.
Tim was actually my corner.
Oh man.
And
where is this guy? I can't believe he's.
I feel like Cabrera is the other.
William Sizemore
Oh, okay. All
Matt
right.
Cabrera's corner.
So that's a name that's come up the last few podcasts. You know him. I'm not familiar with him. Who's William Sizemore?
Will was kind of a Paul protege for a little bit. Paul spent
after Dylan. Sort
yeah
of,
after
right?
Dylan like Paul spent a lot of time with Will, getting him to fight. He was actually doing really good, man. Like
No,
he was
a talented guy.
Yeah, he amateur. He had like 3 belts. He was killing it. Then he went pro, and I don't know. Then after a while, Paul wanted to take care of the business. Paul got to a point where training fighters and running his business, were conflicting each other. So Paul had to make a decision whether he wanted to keep training pros.
Us.
Yeah, or run his business, and I don't blame him.
We're way more profitable.
Yeah.
Right.
So he
And reliable.
cause remember
And we pay on time for the most part.
because remember it wasn't just Will. Like Ben Saunders will we're gonna do a whole camp with Paul.
Time.
Yeah.
It's a big time investment.
Yeah,
to
so
train fighters, right?
like Paul had to tell Ben Saunders he couldn't train him, and that's a UFC fighter, and he had to tell him no, just because he really wanted to, concentrate on his business. So I think that's why Will ended up going to East Orlando, which he's an instructor over there for Muay Thai.
And MMA, I believe.
And so I heard that he wanted to come back. I'm not sure how true that was, but
This is all speculation.
There's speculation that
we're not
Will-
putting any words in people's
Yeah.
mouths. This is all he had heard.
I think I don't know.
Which he would be welcome back. He's a talented
Yeah.
guy. So I mean,
See, one thing about Paul is that dude never holds grudges or anything like that. He opens anybody back with open arms.
This is the third time this has come up. Like
Yeah.
I guess, and I was talking to Chris about this in a group chat because Chris has said this, Mike Sahibi said this, you said this, and I feel like this one ignorant, I feel like Encino Man right now. Coming out from my vault, thinking that everything's the 1950s and it's normal for people to not hold grudges and normal for people to accept people for their face values and not try to change them. But you guys have been expounding upon it like it's this amazing thing. So is it uncommon in the martial arts community? Is this Crianche thing a deal?
I would say the whole Crianche. I mean, granted, Crianche is a Brazilian term, right? Mm-hmm. But I mean, I would say even in traditional martial arts, this is a pretty common thing. If you leave to go join another school, it's sort of frowned upon.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah,
it is.
I would say so.
Yeah, which is why when I was here, I was looking for Atari Showman so much because that wasn't a mentality where you have to continue where you started.
So it's kind of it centers around, I would say, some sort of loyalty.
Pretty much.
Say,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, for sure. I mean, and it's it's.
But to me, it's loyalty that's not fostered on a genuine relationship between two people. It's this sort of you join the club, so now you need to be loyal to us blindly. That's how I interpret it.
Yes, because I think with most traditional martial arts too, there's that sort of appeal to a higher authority, right? That happens a lot. Anything that comes from outside of that source is either bad or whatever the case is. And I think with the introduction of honestly the sort of more pragmatic American approach to jiu-jitsu,
Mm-hmm.
and I think that's starting to go by the wayside. I mean, you kind of see this with Keenan Cornelius now, right? The whole idea of melding of minds to really bring up jiu-jitsu and make that's what matters, not so much the source that you got it from. And the idea that, I was watching some early SBG tapes, from way back.
There it is.
Yeah, I gotta drop them right. But you they talk about how like there's the idea of like the creonche and not sharing your trade secrets with one another early on in jiu-jitsu. And then American wrestlers were coming in, and they were like, because wrestlers just train with each other. They're camps, they're this, that. Like, it's a big part of like the athletic culture there. And they thought it was weird to not share information, right? Because, and that's changing now. So I think that's evolving when everybody thinks the pie is only so large. I think, you kind of heard me talking about it the other day. Like, people think that the pie is only so large, but if you just think about expanding the pie, isn't that a better way to look at things? So I think it's a very uniquely American thing.
I think cross training will just make you better anyways. And I'm guilty of not doing this. Like, I've been invited to like East Orlando by Jason to come train. I've been invited by Julius to go train over there. Last year, actually, I went to New Jersey and I went to a Hansel Gracie school I took 3 classes there, and it was so much fun, man. Like, they treated me so nice. I felt like I was part of the crew, like the very first day.
Well, and that's the thing that I find so odd, because my exposure to jiu-jitsu, and that's probably because I'm in a newer age. I started at the end of 2017, so basically 2018 is when I started. I feel like jiu-jitsu culture is you go anywhere and you're wearing a gi or not, you're on the mat and you share this cool passion with someone else, and it's awesome. Like, everyone's just like, hey man, you love jiu-jitsu, right on, almost kind of like, we've talked about the culture, like it feels like a surf culture kind of thing. So it's odd to me that it wouldn't be like that. It's kind of like, I guess kids, growing up with iPhones. It's like, I couldn't imagine not having an iPhone, but it's like, I can certainly imagine. I had a rotary phone when I was a kid, so.
But I think it's also when you go to a different school, you're always afraid how they're gonna, like, are you gonna be the target guy? Like, especially if you got like a higher belt. If you show up to another school as a brown belt, the first thing they're gonna say, like, let me go with the brown belt, and you always gonna have that the stress that you gotta represent your gym.
Gotta defend the house.
Yes. So like, right now as a brown belt, if I go to like a different school, like anywhere else, I'm gonna have the stress that, man, I have to represent America Top Team Orlando, and I'm a brown belt, so I have to go harder than, I have to go schizo, like you guys call me. So just so I can represent.
You do that here, though. What do you mean?
You need to understand, bro.
What do you mean? You do that here.
Okay, so
I'm 5'3".
We're like 40. We're 48 minutes in now. Let's tackle the elephant in the room. We've called you a low-key schizo on numerous episodes. We know you've heard it because you're a loyal listener. We appreciate that. What is your official response to this?
Funny thing is, I always thought I always grapple under control. I was like, really? Like where?
And mind you, I'm really good at taking one moment, and basically painting your personality with that.
Okay.
And it was literally, I'd probably been back to training with Paul for maybe a couple months. And it was when Victor Guzman was still here.
I know exactly the day you're talking about.
And you and Victor. And mind you, so like both of you guys are like, I don't know if you're competing for like the smaller guy, like I'm the best award or whatever it is, but you're fucking going crazy on each other. And and everybody who grapples me knows that I'm literally incapable of going above like third gear when I drive.
Yeah.
So like I'm sitting here, I'm coasting at like, 35 miles an hour, and you guys are like scrambling around. It looks like there's a Simpsons episode where like it's a bunch of rednecks and they take 2 squirrels and stick them inside a dude's pants.
Yeah.
And there's just like these 2 squirrels, and all you see is just like a mass of just movement. And I just see you guys just like scrambling across, like when you think of like Looney Tunes, like a cloud of smoke with just fists and stuff like sticking out of it. And at some point I just get kicked in the head.
Yeah, no, I kicked.
And I was like, "Oh my god!"
Well, so
what belt were they at the time?
I was a purple belt, and
I think I still might have been a purple belt, to be honest. So.
Victor was a blue belt.
Victor was a blue belt already. So Paul has always had this thing about calling me out against Puerto Ricans. So every time Paul would be like,
"Wait a minute, you're not even Puerto Rican.
I'm not. You're Ecuadorian.
You're Ecuadorian."
So Paul always says, he goes, anytime I go with like Matt Cabrera, Paul goes Ecuador versus Puerto Rico round 2. When I go with Cubero, when I go with Matt Cabrera, and Victor Guzman was one of them because he's Puerto Rican.
Is he? Okay.
So every round,
Matt Cabrera is Puerto Rican?
We call him the Ginger Rican.
Okay.
Wait, what is he?
The Ginger Rican.
Is he actually Puerto Rican?
Yeah, he's half Puerto Rican.
Oh, okay.
He's half Puerto Rican.
Cabrera,
half,
right?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
I guess that would be.
Yeah,
That's,
Cabrera.
that's certainly not Irish.
Yeah, his dad is Puerto Rican. So Paul would always instigate these matches with me and other people. So, and I remember Victor, I'm like, dude, they just go slow, and then he picked it up. I had to pick it up, and
Well,
it just
in your defense, he's got like 2 speeds too.
yeah. So
That's kind of like Mike and Jovan. They were talking about,
But
like,
dude,
guys, let's just flow,
Yeah.
and then it's like escalation within 30
It looks like a
seconds.
Royal Rumble.
and to be fair, I don't know if you remember this, Noah, but I remember your first class.
Oh, I remember this vividly. I remember
Okay.
you giving me a stern lecture afterwards, like, bro,
Yeah.
you're schizo.
Yes.
Did you? Oh,
Yes,
really?
he grappled with me, and this guy was the most schizo person. He like kneed me in the
Ever?
eye and shit. And after I was like,
Oh.
dude, like you have to like bring it down a
Pot
notch.
the
But then look at you now. You're like technical as shit. But
So that was I
but you
in all
remember how I
honesty-
handled it though. I wasn't
in all
schizo.
honestly, I think I think it took me about like a couple weeks to realize that
You were hurting people.
no, and not even that. It wasn't effective. I didn't have that realization yet. I wasn't thinking about other people yet, honestly. And I mean, that's the truth. But I had this realization of like, if I want to get better, I need to accept the fact that everyone's better than me. So all I can do is work technique, and they'll probably work with me if I work the technique. Or if I just try to like use my whatever athleticism, or as
Yeah.
Chris likes to say, my attributes. Use the
You didn't
attributes.
guess where I got that from.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I'm not saying those 2 words. Is
Come on, 3 letters. That's all you gotta
is
say.
it
Come on.
Matt Thornton? SPG. So yeah, I remember. I honestly don't remember the role. I just remember like you need to calm the fuck down or something along those lines to me.
Yeah, because you were very, very, very aggressive and schizo. But that's a specter of a first timer though, so I don't
Yeah,
get
I
mad.
mean,
You
get it, yeah.
you
And
understand.
you're good at it.
Yeah.
Like, you can deal with it too.
Yeah. So
Well,
you
and I also think, and this is something primal happens amazing. I'm thinking about it. It's like I go with people, and I'm probably in the middle to lower end in terms of like stature of the people, right?
Yeah.
Everyone coming in the gym seems huge now to me. That's the I'm realizing like all our new white belts are like over 200 pounds and they're over 6 feet tall. But whenever I went with someone my size or smaller, it almost felt like a chance to say,
it's my time.
I can be like athletically dominant here or something. And I think that also fueled the fire of me being schizo with a guy like Jaime.
Yeah.
Because I wasn't going with a big dude. I wasn't going with, who are some of the guys I went with? A lot of guys I went with actually aren't even here.
Yeah,
Like
Oh, so you're noticing drop.
I'm noticing drop off too. But let's just say a guy the size of Mike Zahibi, even though, yeah, I mean, a guy like Mike Zahibi, for example.
And for people that don't know me, I'm like 2.5, 130 pounds. So I'm I'm literally barely 5'3" right now. So
Honestly, and no homo.
Yeah.
You're deceptively strong for somebody your size.
well, that's because I lifted for almost. I've been lifting for almost 10 years. Granted, I haven't been lifting this whole.
Your levers are also.
Yeah.
Here's my dig. Your levers are also shorter, so it's harder to manipulate.
Yeah, I
too,
guess.
So.
But to my, there goes my wife. To my defense, to my defense about this schizo thing, by the way, okay, I'm small, man, and like I tried to figure out. I can't use muscle because I get out of muscle 9 out of 10 times. Period. Right. So people tell me, "Hey, you're small. You're short. You should be moving quick. So you should be, moving left to right."
So here it is.
So-
Here it comes.
So and guess what? I try to like have this quick pass. I try to move quick. Try to take you back. But 2 minutes into doing that, I'm done. Like I'm hyper. I'm like trying to catch my breath, and I'm like, okay, I wasted all my energy trying to be this quick guy because I'm short and I'm small, and I'm supposed to be able to move around you. But now I'm back to like slowing down, trying to use my muscle. But I feel like I get a muscle every single time. Period.
I think my story with Jaime for calling him a low-key schizo is, I recall I don't know when this happened, but I recall like a flying armbar that felt pretty rough, where you came flying in. I was like, what the fuck's going on here? And this is on me. And this is after Chihuahua had done it. So I was like, because I always felt Chihuahua was.
Well, okay. For example, Chihuahua, right? Like you put me in Chihuahua. I know you love the fact that he armbarred me. Like you calling me out all day, every day, right?
Well,
but
Paul also.
Yeah. So you
we there's a group of us that are like, this is great.
You guys love that.
And I got into Paul with like, well, he's not Puerto Rican, he's Colombian, but it was also like, yeah, put Jaime with Chihuahua.
So,
put Jaime with Chihuahua.
How am I supposed to grapple with a guy like Chihuahua that's moving at 200 miles per hour and not try to match his his
I don't
speed.
think you try to match it though. I think you maintain the structure. You try to get a grip and you smash him to the mat.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm also 180 pounds.
Yeah,
I can do that
but
with him.
me and Chihuahua weigh the same. So I'm trying to like get a hold of the kid, but I can't because he keeps just moving all over the place. So I try to move around.
that's
this.
We love you, Chihuahua.
That's just it, right? So okay, so we were like, why is like strength frowned upon, right? That's the little guy thing. That's the little guy strength. We like, why are you so schizo if you're a little guy, but you got to use your attributes? That's what it is then.
Yeah, like so. I'm hoping some of my attributes it's moving quick, which is not. I feel like I'm slow. Like honestly, if you compare me to when I just started training, I've slowed down a lot.
You should go back to the old ways. Embrace it, man. Go back to that.
I want to, but then
I mean, if it lasts 2 minutes, in the last 2 minutes, you get your 7 arm bars in that amount of time.
If I go back to that, I'll probably roll one round and be tired for the rest of the match.
Sprint, bro.
Say what?
Just go out sprinting. Just fucking blitz them.
I know.
Only snap downs, collar drags, and flying arm bars.
And aggressive loop choke attempts.
Yes. Is that his thing?
Or any sort of collar choke.
No. The fucking baseball bat choke.
So like almost everybody knows now that that's my thing. So like
I will neon skull you for that one.
So now I'm changing my game.
Well, I have to give you credit because when I was in Iceland at this camp,
yeah,
there were a number of people that tried that move on me, and I knew how to defend it thanks to rolling with you and also Carl, who I know learned it from you.
Exactly.
So I will give it the baseball bat from bottom in particular. When people are trying to pass and then you
let them pass.
In a way, yeah.
Well, I use it as a bait, but honestly, my kryptonite, I would say, is leg locks. Like, yeah.
And then you fall back on Paul for a leg lock yesterday.
I know.
I'm watching these guys roll, and he's rolling with Paul, and he's trying to fast Paul's guard, and then he just falls back. He sits back for a foot lock,
and then
Paul looks at me, and I'm like, "What did you just do? You've opened Pandora's box." And
First of all, I wasn't gonna pass his freaking guard, like, and you know that. So I was like, whatever.
Try, though. You gotta try.
I mean, I did try. I'm like,
but you know, though, you're expanding your game.
You gotta try. Whatever. Funny thing is, when Paul was teaching those two months of leg locks, which I missed because I was out because of an
that's
injury.
why he taught the class.
Yes,
is because you got hurt.
I got hurt because of a leg lock.
We all thank you then. we owe it to Jamie.
So now I'm actually thinking of taking your class, hopefully soon.
Oh yeah, tomorrow, 10 a.m.
Yeah.
Is that something that's gonna go on, or is it just that day?
No. This is going to be a weekly thing. It's going to build, and as I said, it's going to be fundamentals of leg locks with an emphasis on defense and safety.
Nice. See, I'm not that ego person that's gonna say like, oh, I'm not gonna let a lower belt teach. I'm like, dude, I don't know this shit.
So
teach
tell
me
us about your knee
Teach me.
injury.
Huh?
Who injured your knee? I mean, ultimately, you injured your knee. But
No. Because I have a story to go along with your story.
I have 2 stories about injuries. 2 stories for injuries for being dumb. Okay, first one happened probably 8 years ago. I was grappling with Cabrera. You guys know Jonathan Cabrera.
yes.
At that time, Daisy hooked him up with this guy, right? And so, no, somebody else. So
Chris is mouthing names off mic. Like,
so
her? Is it
so
her?
Daisy. I was a white belt. I was a white belt at the time, and
this is way
back then. I was a white belt, and Daisy and I were dating for like 2 months or something. We just started dating. So she tells this girl, "Oh, come to this academy. My boyfriend trains there, and there's a lot of hot guys there." Say that quotation again.
But I wasn't there yet.
So she shows up with this girl. So she shows up with this girl, and the class finishes, and I'm chilling with Cabrera, and then she brings this girl that Cabrera started to date. This dude went back in the locker room, took off his shirt, and came back out and asked me to grapple him shirtless. For whatever reason. I'm like, dude, why'd you take off your shirt? He's like, oh. So we started grappling. I'm still got my gear on. Cabrera comes out shirtless. For whatever reason.
Did he do push-ups first?
Dude.
Get a pump going.
So we started grappling, and out of nowhere, this dude goes 300 miles per hour at me. I was like, what the hell's going on? And he grabbed me on a shoulder lock. Right?
You didn't have a conversation beforehand, like, look, I'll make you look good, bro.
Like, so, he should have talked to me in the locker room, like
a WWE conversation about this, like,
so,
all right, I'm gonna do this, and you're gonna do this.
Daisy and this girl are looking at us grapple, like, this guy's going 300 miles per hour. He gets me on the shoulder lock, like, goes really deep. I start tapping the mat, and he was saying, so I started, like, screaming, tap, because I heard it pop. That thing popped. And he's like, oh, I didn't hear you. You know, the fucking Cabrera boys.
That's, for those who don't know him, that's kind of how he sounds.
Yeah. So that was my first shoulder injury. I was out for 3 months because of that. Just because this guy wanted to show off to a girl, I was out for 3 freaking months.
Did she immediately run onto the mat and like hug him and say, "You're the one"? Because that's what happens, right?
They actually dated for a few months. And
Did
then,
they? Okay.
Then
I mean, I guess
that
it-
thing ended. Yeah.
All right, good for him.
So you might have been injured longer than they were actually.
Pretty much.
dated.
I was injured longer for what the time they dated, I think. And the second injury was also going against Giannini. And
Eric.
Eric Giannini. And he just dove right into a heel
So
hook.
the Gypsy Apothecary.
Yeah.
Is that what?
Have you seen his new thing? I can't believe
Is that what he-
I'm promoting this for you, and you should give me
Is
some.
that his new handle?
No, he's got a new side business where he makes potion and elixirs
What?
and beard butters. It's the Gypsy Apothecary. I swear to God, this is true.
You know, hey, it's. I wish I could find my niche.
I had a business
Hey, man,
for
it's a
5 years.
podcast, bro.
That's what I'm
Yeah.
saying. Like, it's that's
This,
awesome.
this could be a business. I had a business for 5 years. You guys didn't know that.
No, I did. I knew.
Yeah, I used to fix cell phones and computers and stuff. So
So I heard one of the biggest issues you ran into was just dealing with vandalism and stuff.
yeah, actually, the reason why I should close down that
Robbery,
business
not even
was
vandalism, right?
yeah, I got. It was actually they broke into my store 3 times. Yeah. So the first time was the worst though, because I lost like close to $6,000-7,000 worth of inventory.
Oh my.
Yeah, so it was a hard thing to bounce back. So and then I had the baby in the way at the time, so I was like either try to bounce back or just go back to work. And which that's my daughter right there making noises. I don't even hear him.
All right, so Daisy, can you come around here? So we got
You over here.
Daisy, Jamie's wife. No,
Hi.
you can come over here on this one.
Let her raspberry in the mic.
Hello. Say hi, Emily. Say hello, everybody.
And she just touched the mic. So Jamie probably wouldn't say this in front of you. Well, maybe he would actually. I don't know. But he said when you weren't around, because you guys were having a conversation when we set this up. So I'm going to be the one saying it because it's a nice thing to say. That in order to train and to do this, you need to have the most supportive wife or partner to do this. So he was definitely recognizing that you let him go train. In addition to all the other stuff he does, like doing his studies to get his engineering and be able to do that, the fact that he's able to train is as much because of the work you put in as it is just the fact that he enjoys doing it. Is that right, Chris? Did he not say that?
He did say that.
Yeah,
I
I'm
went on to-
I'm actually very grateful to her. Like, you know, she definitely supports me in this. She knows it takes a lot of time away from her and the baby and stuff. So
And to Daisy, I want to say you have my deepest sympathy dealing with this guy.
Well, it's a challenge, but you know, every day we get by. But I'm glad that he this is something that he does enjoy and he loves. So I support him 100%.
Do you have any interest in training?
You did.
Negative.
Wait, you did kickboxing?
Oh yeah, that's maybe if anything, I probably would like to do Muay Thai. That's probably about it.
But you actually did kickboxing. Here, I mean the cardio bag class, right?
Oh, yeah. No. Did I? No.
no, she didn't. She wanted to do it, but she never actually did it.
Okay.
I
So
wanted to, maybe the Muay Thai. I probably would be interested, or cardio or something.
Okay, so why not jiu-jitsu?
I don't know. It's not my thing.
You haven't even tried it.
Yeah, you're right, but I don't know. I've never.
She doesn't like sweaty men.
If there was a ladies only class, would you try it?
Yeah, probably. I'll give it a go.
we're doing our survey. This is very interesting.
Mark one.
You know what? I think that's how you get them to start. Like maybe they'll after grappling just with ladies for like a few classes. Maybe they'll go into like grappling against guys and stuff. But at least to get them in, have just a class just for just a ladies class,
Yeah, to break the ice.
just to break the
We're
ice.
gonna have to
'cause-
keep doing that kind of survey and figure it out.
Yeah.
So Jamie, what are you going to be practicing today?
I think I'm still gonna stick around this deep half we're working on.
Okay.
It's not definitely my strongest game. Even Paul said, if you're small, don't do this. You get smashed. But it's definitely something I want to get better at, honestly.
Okay. And what was like looking over the past few years that you've been training? What have been some of the techniques that you've learned that you thought were really cool that you've been able to incorporate?
I think my strongest game has always been chokes. I think I always And because I've been training with Paul for such a long time, I embrace his technique and the way he does things, right? Even though every time I take a fundamental class, he's like, the technique changed to a whole different technique from when he told me the technique.
That's the funny joke. It's like whenever there's people up for a blue belt, you ask the upper belts.
And it's like a completely different technique now. And it's the same technique. He just moved, he made an adjustment that now is like
changed,
so different.
The leverage have changed, everything has changed.
Yeah, so, but I think throughout the years of training, I took more interest on chokes. That's why I do a lot of like loop chokes. And
so you do a lot more jiu-jitsu now than Muay Thai because you did everything at some point.
Back then,
what is,
yes.
Steered you towards jiu-jitsu mainly?
You know, I don't have the time to do Muay Thai no more. Like I would love to do Muay Thai, but it's hard enough to make it to jiu-jitsu 3 times a week. That to add 2 more hours of Muay Thai is hard. But I would love to come back to Muay Thai at least 1 hour a week if I can. But I definitely miss it. It's a different type of workout, I think. Last time actually I did Muay Thai, I went to sparring for whatever reason. And yeah,
we've all made that mistake.
Yeah, and
I've done this for years.
Yeah.
You take like 6-7 months off and
come back to sparring.
And you spar Jovan.
Yeah,
it's a terrible experience.
I came back, my hands were dropping. I was getting tired all the time. I couldn't take a kick. It's just so I got to go back to I got to go back to the basics again just to make sure I'm back there.
So on the like 12-year or 11-year anniversary of you training, are you gonna rematch Matt Cabrera? I mean, we got the ring, dude.
You know what? If they make it happen, I'll do it. That's fun.
Okay, okay. How
That's
about
fun.
this? How about a keep though? Because like that,
dude,
that was for a little bit, right? Like,
listen, that a keep story, man. Do we want to get there? Do we want to go there?
Yeah. we got 10 minutes till class, bud.
Okay, so same thing. Paul instigating. He started this thing that he asked Akib, who would you fight in the academy? And Akib was like, nobody. And then he said, how about Jaime? And I guess Akib said, I'll fight Jaime. I mean, of course, I'm the smallest guy, you know. I guess it's the easy way to go.
That speaks more about him than you know.
So it was all fun and games, man. And at first, and I was like, okay, I'll go along with the joke, you know what I mean? But then he started being disrespectful, started calling me out in Facebook, and it was annoying with Daisy. Daisy was getting annoyed. Because I was like, you know what, if we're going to do this happen, let's make it happen. But he would just always run away from it, you know? Until one day I confronted Akif. I was like, dude, are you going to do this? Or you, what the hell, you know? Like, you're one person at the gym, and then you're a different person outside the gym. So we never really did anything.
Oh, okay. Man, that would have been so awesome.
Money left on the table.
But the funny thing is, like, he actually contacted me personally, and he like apologized for doing all that.
And when was that?
That was probably like 4 or 5 years ago. He sent me a message saying apologize. He's like, he literally wrote virtual bow on the message. He wrote virtual bow. He's like, you're my superior.
It was awkward.
He wrote virtual bow, and I was like, you're right, bro. I was never mad at the kid, you know.
He's immature like that.
Yeah, it was just the way he handled things, and I hear he's back again, so whatever.
I don't believe it yet.
I haven't seen him.
I still haven't seen it.
I saw him. He came for, I believe he came here twice. I saw him once do a Muay Thai class with Andre.
Oh, okay, good, all right.
You know, he was like, man, he's like, you have everything. You have a wife, a purple belt. I was like, dude, I'm not God.
This is becoming weird.
Yeah, I was I'm just a regular dude, man. I just train, you know. Shit.
That was damn. I kind of wish that happened though. I would have liked to have seen that.
Yeah, no, it was.
So who would you match up with if you could call someone out?
I'm not calling nobody out.
Oh, dude, why not? This is fun.
Because
like I love these like sort of virtual matches. All right, so let's match up Noah. Who you got for Noah?
Oh Jesus. Well, I think he should go with Chihuahua. Like I think that's.
Dude, you're like. What's up with you and me and Noah? I mean, and Chihuahua, bro. This like.
I know because I think Chihuahua is like Jaime. There's like little bits of Jaime in there, and it's cranked up like 100%.
Yeah.
So it's funny because it's like you're getting in a weird way like a dose of your own medicine, but it's also got a Chihuahua twist. So it's fucking hilarious. And
I should make you go with Matt Cabrera. I think you match up with him good.
And he's your size, so there's no like size different. Like he's bigger than me. So it eliminates that.
But people forget about this. How old is Chihuahua?
Oh, he's like. What, like 19 or something?
I'm 34 years old.
19, he's like...
I am 34 years old. I've been putting my body through this for a long time, bro.
How old is he actually?
I think he's like 23, 24.
He's a kid.
Yeah, he's a kid. But
Yeah.
you've got daddy strength now. Like you got
What the hell is daddy strength, bro?
You got the. Come on, man. Yeah, Matt Cabrera is always fun.
You should match up with him. I think. Have you grappled with him?
I've grappled with him.
He darts you?
He tried to darce me and he tried to footlock me.
That's the two. That's
So that's
the
not
thing.
right.
Yeah.
So we actually did have a funky round where he footlocked me, and then I was like, oh. And then I proceeded to footlock him twice back. So
He full locked me
I'll
about
say that
a
on
month
top.
ago.
Yeah.
He got me in a full lock like a month ago. That's
Straight
my
ankle?
kryptonite.
He does a good straight ankle lock, right? Or is it,
He's more like a calf slicer, bro. He goes for your calf and just squeezes the shit out of it.
I just like seeing him go with Mike because they were in high school together, have known each other for the longest time,
Yeah.
And
and
then Mike grew like a foot and a half or something. Or I don't know. Mike, I guess.
I think a lot of people want to see Matt like tap, so he's like playing
I
the
always,
bongos, as we like to say.
I always tell Matt that he faked himself for the purple belt because he faked going. So if you know this, when you go away from the gym and you're close to or semi close to a belt, Paul will give you the belt before you leave the gym, so you don't have to like wait in the next
I've
gym.
seen examples of that where that's
Yeah.
not true, but yes, I would agree that that's a possibility.
Yeah, so well, I've seen it happen twice already. So Matt he was supposed to move to Texas for good. So Paul,
Good.
yeah. So
Right
Paul,
off into the sunset.
yeah.
Was he? I didn't
Yeah.
know he was supposed to. I thought it was an assignment.
No. He was supposed to. He got hired lucky, and he was supposed to move over there for good. So Paul gives him his purple belt on his way out, and the motherfucker comes back after a year. I was like, bro,
Hey man, in another year he's gonna be like, I'm gonna strategically leave for Seattle and get my brown belt.
I mean, he does train so consistently, though. I mean, it's like
He
if
comes
there
like
was
once a
something
month
he was
for
long
jiu-jitsu, bro.
overdue.
so
So to close things out, Jamie, any goals for 2020?
personally, like I said, continue my career. Hopefully, become an engineer and make more money. You know what that's about.
Hey man,
Yeah.
gotta
And,
support the lifestyle.
Continue training. Hopefully, make it for. My daughter's about to knock out this microphone. Hopefully, train at least 4 times a week, and I want to try to add one more day once things settle down a little bit more, and maybe try for kid number 2, man.
Ooh.
Yeah, we're planning for that.
We're looking at Daisy. Is this news to you?
No, it's not news to her. She knows.
Daisy like,
Mutually agreed upon thing.
Yeah,
or
no.
did he just like, he's like, I'm just gonna do it live on air, and then makes that way she has to react in a. She can't react.
He'll go run around like chasing like.
She's in the button pushing thing pulling
Yeah.
stage.
So yeah, hopefully continue training. I mean, I know you guys say belts don't matter, but to me it does. I definitely want to be.
Well, it seems like that's changing.
Yeah.
Like we had this
Is it
hardline
because- is it
stance.
because Paul said it.
Yeah, of course it is.
That's
But Paul
why,
said
right?
he-
belts always matter to me, man. I think, which is one of the biggest reasons I stopped training no gi and went to gi more than anything, because I felt like I needed something to show me that I was advancing or getting better for that matter. Because I don't believe Paul gives a belt to anybody. So I never argue with him and he like gives it to me. So I think he says something. And if he skips me, he doesn't give me a stripe, I'm also okay with that, because in his eyes maybe I don't deserve it. So to me it doesn't matter. So hopefully 2022 I'll be a black belt on the pole if I stay consistent.
2022?
2 years from now, right?
You got what? 2 stripes,
Yeah.
bro.
Listen,
No, I mean I know.
I'm assuming life
You
gets
can't
in the
say
way.
anything. Chris can say stuff. You
Well,
can't say
Yeah,
anything.
I'm allowed to at this point.
Yeah,
Right?
I'm assuming life
I would
gets in the
imagine
way. You know what I mean?
If you're training consistently and constantly improving, like
Yeah.
it's got to be considerably sooner than 2 years from now.
Well, if kids, have another baby.
No.
You go back to 1 day a week.
That's a good point. 'cause
You go
it's
back to 1 day a
9
week, and
months plus- Oh yeah.
So
I can relate.
Trying to stay consistent is probably the hardest thing in this sport.
Oh, absolutely, it is.
Yeah.
But as long as you keep on grinding, that's what matters.
Chris,
But,
any final thoughts or questions for Jamie? Because we gotta get ready for class.
Yeah, we do.
I mean, thank you for having me. I appreciate it. I do enjoy this a lot. By the way, you guys made my Mondays a lot less boring.
Oh,
That's
yeah,
awesome.
So
Yeah,
tell us what's your listening routine, real quick.
I know you guys drop it every Saturday, but I don't listen to it on the weekend. I listen it every Monday, every morning on the way to work, and whatever I don't finish, I finish the next day. So it usually takes me about 3 days to finish one episode.
There
So
we
Monday,
go.
Tuesday, Wednesday, I break it 3 days.
Will
so.
you listen to this episode, or are you like everyone else? Is like, I can't stand the sound of my own
I
voice.
had the worst accent. I know I speak fast. So when I listen to it, I'm going to be very mad at myself. I was like, yo, shut the fuck up. Like, slow down.
Like,
I'm going to be telling myself
on
to slow
Google
the
Podcasts, you
fuck
control the
down.
speed. Like, I used to listen to my podcast at 1.2.
You're crazy. You're absolutely crazy.
And I hit the thing where it's like reduce like blanks or whatever it is, or like,
Yeah.
I do that too. So it sounds like these quick cuts. You're going to have to turn yours to like, 0.75.
Yeah, and I apologize to anybody listening to this. I know I speak fast. I'm working on this.
Don't be self-conscious
No.
about it, man.
Yeah.
You're the most self-conscious about that thing. I can understand you just fine. So.
Yeah. But yeah, I appreciate it, guys. It was also just fun.
Yeah. All right. So let's throw on our gis and
It's
we're
class
good to
time?
class time.
God, am I
All
teaching?
right, peace.
I